Hey guys, it's me again. You know what? I think we're going to do something in PowerShell tonight. There's a surprise, right? But you know what? Tonight is going to be really, really cool because I'm going to show you something that isn't really easy to figure out. I'm going to show you how to change the server level config values just like spconfigure. And the funny thing is there's a little trick to it, so it's really not as easy as you'd think it is. So let's start off. You notice here we're at the base level server instance, right? We're not at the SQL instance. We're not at /default, and so we're gonna pull a directory. We get nothing but default, right? So what we need to do is set a variable equal to that directory. Say equals directory. Okay, there we go. Now I get the same thing, right? But if I do a get member, I get all of this stuff, right? And what we're interested in is way up here of the properties. Where are you? Configuration. That's what we're interested in. So let's go down here and take a look at the configuration. Configuration. And we get all these guys here, right? And you recognize these guys too, right? Allow updates, user connections, show advanced options. Down here you'll see, where is it? XP somewhere. XP command shell enabled, AWE enabled. So you recognize all of these from spconfigure. But you notice here that we don't actually have any values here, right? What we're getting back is a Microsoft SQL Management SMO config property. Well, that doesn't tell me anything, right? That just tells me it's a config property. So let's see if we can pull a get member on this and find out what's going on. Well, okay, I've got all this stuff, like even for command shell, and I'm still getting now I'm getting a config property, right? So, you know, what am I supposed to do with this? Well, I'll tell you. Let's now go to .properties, and you'll see that right here, right? There's .properties. Sorry, put that backslash in there at the last second. There we go. So now I'm getting the properties, and you can see now why this is a config property, because it has more than one thing in each one of these, right? Here's replication XPs, right? And you can see it's got multiple values in there. But let's go ahead and clean this up just a little bit. So let's go. We're going to pipe this to a format table, and we're going to take the display name, the run value, the config value, and let's take is dynamic, because I love that one, because it tells me whether or not I'm going to have to reboot SQL for this change to take effect. So here we go. Now this looks a little bit more, or quite a bit more, like spconfigure, right? Okay then. Well, let's go ahead and change one of these values. Let's look at show advanced options. Let's do that one. Okay, so as I'm here, I can say .a configuration show advanced options. Now, from here, I need to specify what I want to change, and that was in the last get member, right? I can't go all the way. I can't go up that far, but here it's going to be the config value, right? So that was one of the properties in the last one. So I need to say now .config value, and now I can say equals 1. Hold on a sec. There we go. That's what I did wrong. Not advanced options. Haha. There we go. That's better. Now just alter it. Actually, we'll do an a.configuration.alter to push that to the server. That's the same thing as a reconfigure, right? So now, if we can get back up there and see our properties again. I should have taken the other view, shouldn't I? Hold on. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so now let's look for show advanced options. I forget where I saw it before. Because they're not in alphabetical order, but here it is. Show advanced options is now 1, right? And I can show you. Let's go ahead and flip it back to 0. If I can find that. There we go, 0. Except I did the one that I misspelled. Show advanced options, 0. There we go. Now let's run the alter. There we go. And let's look at the thing again. There we go. Okay, so now we are at show advanced options is set back to 0. So you see how that works? Cool. I'm going to go ahead and set it back to 1 real quick because that's really what I'm interested in. Show advanced options equals 1. Nope, that says advanced. I'm not going to fall into that one again. And then alter. Okay, now let's go ahead and change another one. See this? Let's change XP command shell. Let's turn XP command shell on because you can see it's turned off right now, right? So let's go ahead and turn it on. So we'll say a dot configuration dot XP command shell dot config value equals 1. Oh, look at that. It says property config value cannot be found for this object. Now, the cool thing, I say the cool thing, is that this is a misleading error message. The reason why this object doesn't contain a config value is because this object itself doesn't exist. Even though I can see XP command shell right here, it doesn't exist. How is that possible, you say? Here's why. Because if you look at the top of this list, this is the display name, right? What I need is the actual name. And that's what we got up here at the top when we said a dot configuration. We got the real name, which is XP command shell enabled. So if I come up here and change that to, let's go ahead and get rid of this whole thing. XP enabled. Now we got that. Let's run our alter. Now let's go up and get our thing again. There we go. And you see here XP command shell is now turned on, right? I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. So many things that we've done here. There we go. Turn it off. And of course alter. And there we are. It's turned off again. So these properties are a property of the configuration options. Okay, so just remember that this is the display name. That's not what you want to turn on and off. You want to turn off. I'll do this one more time. Not R. A dot configuration. You want to turn off the actual name up here. So whenever you're trying to do this, and it just so happens that show advanced options was the same for both. That wasn't a mistake, by the way. I picked one that had the same for both. So just pick that now. All right, guys. That'll do it. I think that's a pretty good. I think that's a pretty good intro, or pretty good coverage to. Sorry about that. My dog just groaned over there. I think that's pretty good coverage of editing configuration options in PowerShell. Now all you have to do, let's say if you want to do this for all your boxes, say turn show advanced options off or XP command shell or something like that, man, now you can just whip through it. But don't forget, you can still use the carrier method for all this and it's still perfectly valid. Anyway, talk to you later.